Okay, we call the meeting to order. The committee meeting of the whole for Tuesday, August 20th, 2019. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Bell.
Here.
Trustee Brewer. Here. Trustee Grant. Here. Trustee Jazinski. Here. Trustee Todd. Here. Trustee Williams. Here. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put in more items here to delete and use my straightforward and won't take that much time.
I'm sorry, you said you wanted to. Okay.
Discussions for competitive bidding and add discussions for 8 invoices that won't take that much. They're ordinances, I'm sorry, yeah. Ordinances that won't take that much time. They're straightforward.
But you can't add to the agenda.
I could amend the agenda.
You can amend taking off, but you cannot add to the agenda that's already been posted because it hasn't been posted. So you can't add something onto the agenda that was not already posted. So you cannot just say, you can take it off, yes you can.
I don't think that's right, Mr. Mayor, but I sent the request in to the village clerk a couple of times, so.
I'm just saying, that's why you have an agenda.
I understand.
Because it has to be distributed.
Okay.
If it hasn't been distributed, you just can't arbitrarily bring up something that's not on the agenda. I'm just telling you what has to be done. We can't, if that was the case, then we would never have an agenda. It would just come out and just start talking about whatever we want to talk about. So, that you put it on the agenda so people have a chance to either do research, ask questions, or whatever before that, but it's part of the agenda, part of the meeting. You can ask to take something off, yes you can. But to add something that was not on here, no, you cannot do that.
I don't think that's right, but okay, Mr. Mayor. Let's go.
First item, Mr. Frank Callalini. Callalong, okay. Yes, sir. And this is for a business concept for the Coolidge 2555 West Street. I think that's over in Carlisle State. Is your mic on? No, okay, you're gonna press that button until it gets, and hold it until it turns green.
How's that?
There you go.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Frank, and the last name is a difficult one, I know. It's pronounced Castiglione.
Castiglione.
Yeah, and this is my client, and his name is almost as bad as mine. Ton Tahiri, but he goes by Tony.
Okay.
And if you want to call me Frank, that's fine. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, village trustees and Mr. Administrator, and you may have the kindest village clerk I've ever met, so she's very nice, and she's been helpful this evening. So this is pretty straightforward. We just met, I don't know her, but she's been very nice tonight, to me anyway. The address is 2225 Rush Street, but the crossroads, which may be more helpful, is Route 30 and Transportation Drive. So this is about a 12-acre parcel. It's vacant currently. There may be some farming going on there, I can't tell. My client has a contract of purchase he's signed with the owner, but it's contingent upon a zoning change. He's not interested in farming. He'd like to develop this, which would require a C3 zoning. It's currently residential R1. And this is not a formal presentation. Clearly, this is not the zoning hearing. This is just an introduction so the village can know who we are, generally what it is we want to do, and nothing more, really. So there is a not to scale, not professional, handmade sketch that my client has prepared. And you can see it's roughly the top, let's say, 25% or so is not the first phase of what he wants to do. You can see that they're in the north west corner. There's a gas station. Below that, there is, to the right, there is, or the south, there's a strip mall. and there's parking right up against Route 30. He doesn't intend to do that immediately. What he intends to do immediately is the area to the south. So if you can see, there is what purports to be a building on the very far bottom, the south end of this parcel. And the building would have service bays, large service bays for trucks, for tractor trailers. A warehouse in the middle, and then some office space for various purposes on the far right-hand side. He has sketched out an asphalt area, a driveway of sorts to get to it from off of Transportation Drive. The remainder of the property, all the way up to that line, that horizontal line you see there, which is the alley, he would have that, it would be leveled and gravel and all the vegetation removed and fenced. So, and I don't want to take a lot of time this evening because I'm sure you have some very important things to do, but just by way of background. So my client is from Albania, came to this country, how many years ago? 23 years ago. He's been in the trucking industry ever since, transportation. And for those of you who may have some knowledge of that industry, today in 2019, these long-haul truckers, the trucking industry, it's dominated by Eastern Europeans, Ukrainians, Romanians, Albanians, Russians. And he's very well-versed and well-known in the community, among those who maintain their own rigs and drive long-haul. Now, we wouldn't be dealing at all with trucks or trailers from big outfits like J.B. Hunt or Schneider or anything like that. They do all their things in-house, all their maintenance and repairs in-house. These would be independent truckers. And so what my client does today, he has a business in Bridgeview, Illinois, just like this on a much smaller scale. And he does truck maintenance and truck repair. I'll just separate those two things out because they're really somewhat different. The maintenance, these trucks, they run a lot. They're constantly running. If they don't run, you don't make any money. So they constantly need maintenance. And by that I mean wipers, hoses, belts, oil changes, brake changes, tires, lights, headlights, brake lights, turn signals, air hoses. All these things wear out and they have to be maintained. That's truck maintenance. He does that right now. And when I say the truck, I mean the tractor, the part that pulls the trailer. What he proposes to do in this facility, if you allow him the zoning change, or if the village allows him the zoning change, and if it's approved by this council, he would do three things. There would be short-term storage of these trucks, because sometimes the trucks need to be maintained or repaired, and sometimes those things take longer or shorter, depending upon what the situation is. Sometimes the trucks have to sit because they're not allowed to drive them just 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So sometimes the truck has to sit in between loads. And you can't just park a truck on any old residential street. So it would be some very short-term storage, some of the maintenance, which I just told you about, and then also major truck repair. And that would be somewhat different than he's doing today in Bridgeview. It would include changing transmissions, swapping engines out, engine repair, of all kinds, just like you would do on your car, but it's involved when it comes to these tractors. Also, some repair on the trailers. They have issues too with brakes and air hoses and tires for sure. We don't have any specific hard plans that can't be modified if the village has certain requests or needs. We're open to whatever ideas that will allow the project to go forward. So that's just an overview. My client is here. He knows much more than I do about the details of the industry and the business. If you have questions, we'd be glad to entertain those.
Okay, I'll let the board, does the board have anyone have any questions?
Okay.
You were talking about short-term storage.
Yeah.
But you're talking about if the truck driver has to rest in between. So in other words, he would then be staying on this property
No.
while in between his runs?
Just his truck.
Just his truck?
Where he would stay is up to him, I don't know.
Okay, and that's what
No,
yeah, I
he's
just,
gonna be living in the trucks, no.
right,
It's a very good question.
right. Now, how close to the homes that we have over there, because I'm looking at the sketch and it's kind of hard to tell.
Okay.
How close to the homes are you?
I'm trying.
Go ahead, sorry.
Dante here.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. I'm trying to be far as possible from that further.
You got-
I'm trying to stay far as possible from the gate in right side, which will be 8 feet tall. So the fence, yeah, the gate fence. So is enough room to be in far west instead of far east. So I'm resident myself, not in this area, but other area. I don't want any noise coming from the area. So in the east side, which is 8 feet, the longest side, will be trees. There are already trees there. So I'm not intact with the residential area there. So we're talking only for the, probably like 40, 50 feet to the end, which is south. This elbow right here, if anybody can. This is the elbow where I get the resident closer. Other than that, I'm not near. I'm probably in 100 yards away from the nearest driveway.
So you'd be closest to Transportation Drive?
Absolutely. So and plus it will be a gate. And after that, it will be fence, I'm sorry again, the fence, and there will be trees. So will be no noise coming from the area. We don't want to bother nobody, absolutely.
If I might, so what my client is saying, and I'm sure you understood him, but let me just add on to that, that the bulk of the truck traffic would be on the left or west side of the parcel. Less to the west. The further west you go, the less traffic there would be. And let me also say that it's all the repairs and such will be done indoors. And the only noise it would be from the diesel engines of the trucks. But there's no intention to drive them around and around. They would be parked, and sometimes they have to run, but other than that, there would be no noise from this facility other than engine noise from the diesel trucks. Yes, ma'am.
My comment is sort of lengthy. I don't know if you're aware, I'm going to give you a little history of what I know was going on and why I feel the way, and maybe you can understand. Back in 2012, there was a class action lawsuit filed on behalf, residents filed a class action on behalf of Sauk Village, and we filed it against roadway trucking, okay? At that time, we discovered that vinyl chloride was in the water, okay? So at that time, the courts ruled against us. Okay, this is roadway trucking, yellow freight and all that, all over there. So my question is to you that since we are talking about roadway and we're near Transportation Drive, you want to add another trucking industry over there when we couldn't determine whether vinyl chloride is coming, and Sauk Village and Illinois EPA did their study, so we couldn't determine where it was coming, but yet we're still 7 years later trying to clean up the water from there. So my question to you is, what safeguards are you going to do to protect us? Now, Carlisle Estates is a very small area over there, okay? They were, I guess, hardest hit from well 3, where the contamination actually occurred. But now you want us to add another trucking industry over, trucking repair industry over there? It doesn't sound a little reasonable why it's so close to roadway and now you want to put another one over there. We have had problems and we still having problems, okay? We haven't got any of that stuff resolved, but then you're going to put another trucking thing. I think it gives us a disservice if we put another trucking repair place over there, when we have no safeguards right now. We don't know what's going on over there. But, you know, I want to say, before everybody gets upset, they said the water is clean. But why do we have to endure paying 7 years of airstripping right now just to keep our water clean? And now you want to add on the same kind of thing that we had before, that we have now, rather, not before.
All right, may I address that?
Sure.
So, I don't do this for a living. I'm not a municipal attorney. I've done a lot of different things in 40 years of practice, but Mr. Tahiri is a longtime friend and client of mine, and I'm here more as an accommodation. What I do generally during business hours is I'm a class action lawyer, a plaintiff's class action lawyer. So I am fully appreciative of what you're saying and the frustrations that go with that. Class actions are difficult. I do it for a living. But I guess it would be hard for me to give you specifics other than to say we're certainly willing to work with the village and the EPA and any safeguards that are reasonable, because your concerns are not unfounded. These are trucks, and trucks leak, and there's diesel fuel and antifreeze and transmission fluid, and those things can find their way into the water table. So I understand your concerns. We would be willing to work with the Illinois EPA and your village, and I think that as long as there are economically feasible ways to be responsible, we don't want to be polluters, we would certainly be more than open to those sorts of proactive type remediations. But in answer to your question, why would you put a trucking here in the village other than that kind of thing? You're going to get some sort of a commercial area here. It's going to go from vacant and farm to revenue-producing, tax-paying business, which we want to do, and which I think is good for the village. You could use the revenue, I'm sure, but if we have to do it and spend some money in a way that's responsible, we're certainly open to that. I can't tell you, I'm not an expert as to what would be reasonable, but we're open.
Area over there. The Carlisle Station is a very small area over there. Okay, they were hard to hit with the vinyl chloride, and to add another fuel to that fire doesn't make a whole bunch of sense to me. Residents did not benefit from anything from that. In fact, Roadway won the lawsuit, so we're still at the point where we're still cleaning up our water, we still have airstripping, and well 3 was down for about a year before it came, you know, we had to put it back online. We had to spend all that money. We spent $4 million to get these airstrippers up just to clean the water. So now, you know, I'm just gonna leave that alone, because it doesn't do us any good to have another trucking industry over there. We near Transportation Drive, okay? It doesn't do, especially Carlisle Estates. I think they have like 120 homes over there or something. It doesn't do them any good.
Well, I can disagree with you, ma'am, because I for real, I want to make money on the business, my work. But honestly, those people on your area will benefit too. We're bringing a lot of working people to work here. I'm not gonna do all those works myself. From the beginning, from the first shovel, those are the people who are gonna work there. Your people, your area people, your drivers, your mechanics, those plaza, everybody gonna benefit. Instead of driving 10 miles, 5 miles, you got this area clean and good and beneficial to everybody. So this is industrial country. We're not in third world country not to develop the place, but that's your choice, you know. You can do whatever you want with your city, but I think this is better for community, way better, because a lot of people will work, a lot of people will have a handmade going to paycheck. So that's why I'm here.
I have a question. What are your hours planned to be, and about how many jobs do you plan to bring to Sauk Village?
I think more than 50 jobs. And gonna start 8 a.m. in the morning until 6 p.m. Only daytime.
Okay, and one more question. So I noticed that in the beginning you said the top part of the diagram here was not, that's your plan later on, kind of like your phase 2 plan.
Yes, correct.
But do you have some kind of agreement with those businesses at the top already that you
I
know?
already count, I got few. Let's say Fleet Pride is the first, the biggest company in the United States is for truck parts. They require 10,000 square feet building, rental, 15 years contract. I was in a meeting other day with the manager of Midwest. And you want 15 year, 10,000 square feet, and you want one dock in the back because he has to load and unload. So Fleet Pride is the first. He said, just get it, I'll be there. So the other people will come around. And everything is neat wherever we come around. If we're not gonna have a Panera, probably we have a gonna be either Dunkin' Donuts instead of Panera, either Panera. It's gonna be either Dunkin' Donuts or it's gonna be the other coffee shop, Starbucks. But they want Starbucks, the only confusion we have with Starbucks, because they want to separate. They don't want it in the same building. I have a meeting with them. I was having meeting in other city also.
Oh.
But they want the Starbucks, they want their own building, not to be connected. That's it.
Okay, so, but you do have some kind of
Yes,
relationships?
absolutely,
Okay, great,
absolutely.
great.
Wait.
So anytime there's a zoning change, what is the process in alerting or asking the neighbors, the residents that are involved? What is the process in getting their feedback? Is there an open hearing
Yes.
that's being held? And that's at the zoning process, correct?
That's at the zoning.
So this is a preliminary discussion.
What they want to do is basically, and this is what my understanding was, correct me if I'm wrong, they want to know should they proceed to the hearing. They want to get feedback now. Is it conducive for them to go ahead and go further? The next thing would be to schedule a zoning committee meeting. They want to know should they go to that next step. This is what they're coming here now to get a preliminary feel from the board that they should go ahead and go to that next step.
That's exactly right. If I might comment, Madam Trustee, your zoning procedures in this village are among the most complicated I've ever seen. So it's a lot, which is fine. It's a process. We respect it. But there's plenty of notice, believe me. We just don't want to go deep into that rabbit hole of expense and time if it turns out the village doesn't want us. If they don't want us, they don't want the development, we'll go someplace else. And I don't mean to say that in a way that's disrespectful. It's just I don't want to waste my time, my client's money, and your time. If it's not what Sauk Village wants, we'd rather find out earlier rather than later. And I don't expect you to give me a yes or no. But we're just trying to test the waters, introduce ourselves, and if it's something that doesn't seem like it's possible, we'll move on.
And I appreciate that, and I respect that, and that's why I'm saying, at what point do the residents have buy-in?
Oh, during the
Because
zoning process.
we only have today to talk to you.
No.
The residents during the zoning process, you've already spent money, you've already made a commitment.
Oh, yeah, no, that zoning process that you have in this village is quite thorough.
I know.
And there's plenty of notice and plenty of meetings.
Right.
So before we get back to you for approval, we have a few hurdles to jump over.
As long as the residents have
Oh, yeah.
buy-in, I'm not,
By law,
I can't make a decision. I
Oh, no,
want
I don't
residents
expect you
buy-in.
to, yeah.
I just wanted that on the record.
Yeah, yeah. No, as the mayor said, I think he said it correctly. We're just looking to test the waters. If it's something that we should go further, we will. If it's a red light, don't even think about it in Sauk Village. That's okay. We just would like to know.
What safeguards do you have in Bridgeview?
Excuse me, hold on. We don't do that in the meeting. We don't do that now. We have a spot on the agenda for public comment. I'm kind of shocked that you would yell out at the meeting.
Don't be shocked, I need to know.
Okay, well, if you want to stay at the end, ma'am, you can. If these gentlemen want to stay and talk to you after they get through with their presentation, they can ask you, but we do shout back and forth at a meeting.
Well, sir, I'm not
We
agreeing,
do
so I have a
not
question.
shout back and forth at a meeting, ma'am. I'm just asking.
I understand,
Thank
but
you.
I have a question, sir.
Gary, Gary.
And you're talking doing major engine work, transmission work. Are you gonna do body work, spray paint and all that stuff? That's because I'm worried about, for the people who live 100 yards away, 200 yards away, whatever it's gonna be, is the smell,
Absolutely, we're not gonna.
you know, the noise.
I understand. I know it's in many cities a special license, but there is no. I don't.
And it's not a matter of the village wanting it or not.
No,
It's not, we want it.
I would
It's just conducive to what you're saying.
No.
For the land.
It's not
It's,
for me. It's not for me, that business.
I'm worried about
No,
the
sir.
people in that neighborhood.
No, they will be safe, believe me. But it will not be, it's not my kind of business what I do,
Right.
so I don't do that. Even for, absolutely not.
No spray painting, no body work.
No,
Now, there's no trucks gonna be out there running 24/7.
excuse me?
During the winter, they don't, it's a lot for someone who's coming in to get some work done.
Actually,
Your parking lot.
to resolve that problem is to put an electrical cable, so you can charge the customer.
Right.
Wherever.
I mean,
he wants,
because-
and the truck will be shut down. So
Right.
You charge them, let's say, a fee of $5 a day, so it will cover the electricity during the night. Here you go, no noise.
Or you just plug it.
But
Well, there's no noise if the engine's not running.
Right.
But if the electronic dipstick is on, it keeps the diesel warm.
Now, when you guys are done with your presentation, can you stick around to answer their concerns?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. We don't.
I would like to see this go.
That's
but
why we're here.
I'm worried about the people who live there. Thank you.
Since the Carlisle Estates is so small, have you or are you going to consider just walking in that neighborhood, because it's a small area, and talk to those residents about adding another truck repair place near roadway? I mean, have you ever considered that?
No.
Okay, and to piggyback on what the resident talked about, what safeguards, other than you said you're gonna talk to Illinois EPA?
No, what I said was we'll be open to anything that the village wants to coordinate with the Illinois EPA. If there's some reasonable safeguards, we're more than willing to do it. If they're economically feasible, sure.
Are any of the homes in, on Rush Street, because there's a few of them down on that street, are they gonna be torn down or moved?
No.
So we're gonna be in back of a,
Yeah,
have you been over to Carlisle Estates? Oh, okay.
Okay.
I've been many times.
Any other questions? I do have a couple.
Yes, sir.
I saw on your schematics here that you have a gas station. Is it gonna be gas and diesel or just gas?
It's anticipated gas and diesel.
It's gas and diesel. Okay, and that looks like that's gonna be on the north end,
Northwest corner.
northwest corner. So that'll probably be as you come in Transportation Drive, just north of that, correct?
Correct.
And how many, I'm looking at you have parking, how many do you think? Because the strip mall is fine, that's great, that's how you can, offset some of the part that you have, pay for. But the truck parking, what are you anticipating, how many trucks you can park there?
Now, that will all be south of the alley. None of the trucks would be up in the north end there by the
No,
plaza.
I'm talking about where it says truck parking. How many?
Yeah, oh, you want to know how many?
Yeah,
Well, there's trailers and there's tractors.
Okay.
So I'll let my client address that separately.
I assume will be probably like 80 to 100 total, maximum.
Over 12 acres.
okay.
So this probably will take like 8 acres, because I'll leave the north side around 4 acres. So I think the room is for like,
Excuse me, I definitely can't hear you right here, and you guys can hear you all better than I can hear him, and he's got a microphone. So, thank you. Okay, so you're saying,
so I think the room is enough for like 140. That's my measurement. but I think between 80 and 100, because I'm trying to stay far away of the residential, because I don't want any complaint tomorrow. They're gonna knock your door probably. Oh, this guy is doing this or that. I don't want that. So I'll stay far away from the residential. I do my own business and no complaint about it. Nobody want to complain. Nobody won't have to. So.
Okay, and then this looks like the whole operation is gonna be fenced in, correct?
Absolutely, yes. And in east side will be 8 feet. So I try from 6, which is the regular usually, to 8 feet. And the trees, so for any noise.
Now, after your operation is closed, you said 6 o'clock in the evening or whatever.
Yes.
The fence would automatically.
The fence will be automatically, the driver should have a pass.
Okay.
So you know which one is whatever, let's say, like a social security. He has the plate, the fence will open automatically. If he don't have the,
So you mean if someone needs to have a truck towed there, they can still get it towed there?
yeah, the tow guy, yes, the tow guy, I have already contract with a Pro and Tow. I already use this contractor in the Bridgeview, so he know, even he has a key of my shop, so it's, he will have the pass. There you go, he needed to tow it 2 a.m., he can tow it, leave the truck, get out of there.
But you do know there's standards for waste as far as oil and things like that, there's a certain process that goes through, they don't just go down the drain.
No,
And if someone comes by and sees that, then there's a
I
fine, so
understand.
there's certain things.
Start with $25,000 fine, sir, I know that. So.
Okay, is there any other questions? I don't know. Do you want me to take a consensus to go around, or do you want to go on what you're looking at? What you want, okay, well
No,
then.
it's not necessary, Mr. Mayor. We just really wanted to introduce ourselves.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm sure you've heard, pros and cons, and
Yeah.
I'm sure they had a chance to hear exactly what it is that you're proposing.
All right, thank you very
And if
much.
there's any other questions, or they have some follow-up comments, we can get. Right, is there a comment?
Mr. McGrath has all that information.
Or Mike McGrath?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've given him emails and phone numbers and such. I'd be glad to give it to the clerk.
I would appreciate that because I asked for it and the only thing I got was your address as evidenced on that agenda, which is not correct.
All right.
All
So I
right.
would appreciate it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
The next item is Village Administrator Christopher Williams, updates.
Good evening, my name is Christopher A. Williams, Village Administrator for Sauk Village. I am gratefully appreciative to be present before the Sauk Village residents as well as the mayor. Oh, there we go, let's try this again. Darn it, I thought I was sounding pretty good. Okay. Messes up my flow, but once again, good evening. My name is Christopher A. Williams, the Village Administrator for Sauk Village. I am greatly pleased to be present before the Sauk Village residents, the mayor, the board, and the clerk. I'm going to provide some brief updates. I got to admit, today is actually a really great day, so you might even notice that in my voice. I'm really excited. I had some great opportunities within my week and a half, to some degree, to have some one-on-ones with the mayor, trustees, at the clerk, and then also a departmental meeting. In addition, I was meeting with CMAP today, so there's some real stuff that we're working on. Obviously, regardless of how I got here, one of the things that I've been really pleased and grateful for is that I've had the opportunity to work you know, unconditionally, unbiased to the operations and best picture of the village. And most of the stuff I need to talk about kind of have to be behind an executive session and stuff because it's operations related. Nevertheless, I have been really pleased with the level of support that's been given by the mayor, the board, and the clerk, and also the staff as well. So I just want to say thank you, and you have been receiving my memos thus far, and we'll continue to discuss it moving forward. But if there's any particular questions that you all might have right now, please put forth, and if I can answer it in open session, I will. No? None? Nothing right now? Okay, fair enough. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item, I see it says approval. We're not voting tonight, so is there any presentation of the annual budget? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, see you, Mo. I can't see. Village clerk, Sauk Village Municipal Code Rules and Procedures. She has two items. First one, that's the first one. Madam Clerk.
Trustees, I presented to you a nice little packet that looked like this. Did everyone bring that? Trustee Brewer, do you have yours? Yes. Okay, in front of you also I placed a yellow highlighter. We're going to use that highlighter this evening during the course of my presentation, if you don't mind. If you look at the cover of the document that I provided you, I said that we will be talking about the Municipal Code, Article 2, Division 3, and we're going to focus strictly on Rule through 2-83. Then after that, we're going to go in depth on how to write a proposal for a board meeting, and then I wish to share with you a proposed motion template for us to consider using. And we'll talk about that a little later. What we're going to look at, though, first is the largest of that packet, the one that is stapled. We're going to go through that because that is the entire Division 3 Rules of Procedures that is a part of our municipal code. Some of you were not here when Muni Code came in and gave a presentation on how to do searches on the website for our codes and everything. So as we go through, I'm going to just highlight a little bit so that you know what you're seeing when you visit the website looking at the code from its inception, when it's been updated, how you can tell if it's been updated. On the very first, if you look at it, you see Division 3, Rules of Procedure. Then the next line after that, you see Section 2-64, and that deals with the scope and the compliance that's required. We're not going to go with Section 2 through 64 or Section 2 through 65, the order of business, which is basically what we do when we go to board meetings, attend board meetings. I am, though, going to draw your attention under number 10 where it says adjournment. I'm still on that very first page where it says adjournment. Underneath that, you see where it says Code 1977. That is that's the code that this is referencing when it was updated. And then where you see Code 2005, that lets you know that an ordinance was approved at some point in time in 2005 that altered that code from 1977. And I am going to ask Debbie as well as Sherry to feel free to jump in whenever to assist me with this process because you all were very instrumental in it as well. Let's look at Section 2-68, which is standing committees. Now, this one is not the most recent because we just amended an ordinance for standing committees, but this is the one that was done by Trustee Todd in in 2017 when we first came on. How do you know that that was 2017? Well, it goes through the current committees that we have, but then if you skip that next page and go to the next one, down at the bottom, right above where it says section 2-69, where it's talking about special committees, if you look over right above that, you see that it's the code from 2005. Do you see the number of times that there's been an ordinance amending? Does everybody see that? If you look at it, you can see ordinance number 383. So say for instance, and we have all of these ordinances here. So say for instance you wanted to see what did the original ordinance say, you're able to go and pull ordinance number 383, or you could pull ordinance number 657, or ordinance number 0249, all the way down to ordinance number 17019. That is how you collect your historical data when you're interested in the life of what we're doing, okay? That's all I wanted to do there. The next page, section 2-70, it looks at committee reports. And I thought that I would highlight that one for you, and I'm asking you to highlight it as well, because the ones that are highlighted, I am going to ask that you, at some point in time, just go back and review it and think about how do you feel about it, what it's asking for, and if it's not something that you think that we can live with or that you would want to live with, then I would advise that you contact the Ordinance Review Committee and look at changing that ordinance, because right now, this is what it says. And under these committee reports, it says all standing and special committees shall report in writing at the next regular meeting, given the facts and their opinion. So really what that's saying to you, trustees, is when you have a meeting, some of you automatically come back and you give a report, and I appreciate it, and we appreciate it. When we first came on, the mayor said, well, you know, that may be a bit much for them to do immediately. But in some instances, it's been non-existent. There are no reports. So I would appeal to you guys to work out how you're going to do your reporting and make a determination if it needs to be changed. I'm going to turn the page. I'm going to turn the page twice. And I'm going to go to the section 2-75. I would like for you to highlight that. It is called Addressing the Board. And there it says, every member previous to speaking shall proceed with his remarks only after being named and recognized by the chairperson. And I know that sometimes we get a little excited and you just blurt out and start talking and all of that. I'm going to ask, we're going to ask, because I had this planned already, but then another trustee came to me and said, we need something to improve the decorum of our meetings. So, as we've said before, as I've said before, you must be recognized by the chair. Then we talk, then you talk, okay? Section 2.76. Now some of you are gonna probably have a difficult time with this, and that piece is okay. Highlight it, because if you really have an issue with it, what am I going to suggest that you do? Talk to Ordinance Review and look at amending what's here, because as it is right now, It was instituted in 1977 and redone in 2005. Now we're looking at 2019. And that's talking about speaking twice on the same subject. No member should speak more than twice on the same subject unless you have the consent of the other board members. So if you get their consent and they say, okay, you can talk again or you can take my turn, that piece is okay. Let's look down at section 2-77. This is concerning the rules and regulations concerning motions and questions. Questions can be considered debate as well. And we've not been doing that very well over the last month or so. And we want to always increase our ability to communicate with one another and get the business of Sauk Village done correctly. We're going to visit motions a little bit later because that's another sub-point that I will be covering and that I was asked to cover. But as you look at the rules and regulations concerning motions and questions, it says that when a question is under consideration, when the question is called, no motion shall be received, okay? Unless it's so volatile that you decide, okay, no, we can't do this no more, and you call for a motion to adjourn. Or if you want to lay that motion on the table, meaning it's tabled to another time, a little bit later so that you can get more information. And a lot of times you would give the exact time when you would want to bring it back. You can call for the previous question, you can postpone to another day, you can amend it, you can postpone it indefinitely, and we have done that successfully. Know that I highlighted that little paragraph after number 8. A motion to adjourn should always be in order and be decided, and that's done without debate. So if someone say, I move to adjourn, that's without debate, we move into that. Look at B under there. It talks about a motion for the previous question to lay on the table or to commit until it's decided. I would like for you to read that and internalize it, and let's come back and we talk about that another time too. Just so that if you have additional questions on that passage right there. So I am going to ask that you do just like Debbie just did, highlight all of B, because you all know that I'm a former teacher, so I would say that's homework. All the way to the next page. Then I would ask you to look at I. Now keep in mind, this is different from parliamentary procedures, even though it's part of parliamentary procedures. But our code, the municipal code, is what we go on. If our code does not address something, then that's when we go and we have to follow Robert Rules of Order, because that's what our code tells us. But this is the main stuff here that we need to know. And as I said, at any point in time, we can call upon it to be changed if you feel that it's not working. Look at look at J. I did wave lines there. And the reason I did wave lines there because I thought that was very, very, very important, because it talks about the conduct of members during debate. Okay? And it's really asking that you not hold private conversation, you not talk over everybody. We know what we've been doing, so we're not going to do that anymore, because we know that when we know better, we do better. I'm skipping some more pages, and public addressing the board, section 2-80. Now this says, and we don't follow this, but it usually hasn't gotten to this point, but if the mayor ever would want to bring this, because it does get long, it says that the public comment portion of the meeting shall not exceed 1 hour unless the majority of the board agrees to extend that time. Fortunately, our public comment does not last that long. I do need to go back, though. I need to go back to that other page in terms of limitation to debate, which is section, it was just a page over item I, when we were talking about that limitation on debate. Not only does, under I, it says, no member should speak more than twice upon the same subject. That means even if given the approval by other trustees, you can only speak to a topic 2 times. But then, listen to this, no member shall speak longer than 5 minutes at any time, except by consent of the board. If you want the time limitations removed, who do you need to see? Thank you. Otherwise, this is what we're supposed to be following. No more 10, 15, 25, 30 minutes of dialogue. And public can only speak 3 minutes, okay? And that's what I'm going to just highlight for you in this section. But that does not mean that you should not want to read it all. And this is only one little small part. You know how big that book is. So hold on to that. The other thing that I have, it's basic parliamentary information, and it's procedures for handling your main motion. Know that the document that I copied this from was yellow, so hopefully you're able to see this, but how to, am I boring? Okay, so this document here talks about the different types of motions, what the chair would say, what the member will say or do, and I'm not going to read through this. Then on the inside left side, it talks about ranking motions. There are ranks to the motion. There are privileged motions, there are main motions, there are subsidiary motions, and in each instance, it lets you know when and how it can be used. And then it talks about non-ranking motions. I'm going to ask that you read that, and maybe at some point in time we can come back and revisit this again. And if you have questions, then we can walk through this piece too. But this is another one that I would really ask that you hold with your meeting materials, your resources, so that you can pick it up whenever there's something and you need to know if we need to walk up or down on a motion. But we do have a couple of motions that have been placed on the floor, that then other motions were placed on top of it, and then we never went back to the main motion, so they're just dangling, and you don't want unresolved business as we're talking about doing a service for the village, okay? This year, now this is my suggestion, and Trustee Williams writes out her motions, and in a number of other organizations, they write out their motions as well. And I found that when you write your motion, I see you shaking your head. When you write your motion, therefore you're getting a very clear picture of what you want and what you want your colleagues to vote on. You're giving them that information. You're not writing a dissertation. You're just saying, I move that we have these at all meetings. We know what you're talking about. But then sometimes somebody may throw a loop and say, well, no, I don't want that kind. I move that we had this kind, and then that's what how our motions go up and down all over the place. But if before you actually
actually bring it again after you have to amend it, if you could just take a couple of minutes and jot it down, then when it comes out, we all know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. This isn't a dictate. This last document that I have here, motion submitted by time of this template, I'm just asking that we consider writing our motions out opposed to just talking off of the cuff. Naturally, I defer to you. It's ultimately your desire, what you would want. I'm just trying to help make certain that when and as we communicate, we're able to do so in a way that everybody can understand what you're saying, how you're saying it, and you understand what you're saying and how you're saying it. So let me know what you think. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry to take as much time as I did, but I thought that it was important. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next one, as I said before, we're not approving, I guess, is being presented for the budget and appropriations for the Village of Sauk Village for the period of May 1st, 2019 to April 30th, 2020.
I'm sorry. I was in violation. We were in violation.
I was trying to be recognized.
I'm sorry. I was reading.
I was trying to be recognized. Was there any comment on
Oh, okay. Okay, do you need to go back? Is there any comment on what she?
I just asked the clerk to email this to all of us so that when we are ready to make a film here, that we will have it.
Just to have the clerk email this to us so that when we're ready to make the motion, we have it. We don't have to worry about coming to get a copy. Just email it to us. Thank you. She's got it.
Sorry.
This next item again, the appropriation and the budget. I see it on the agenda, so I didn't know. Okay. The next item, I don't have anything. So, who has to have it put on? Who has to have it put on? All right. We'll move on. Trustee Roger Grant, the completion of the bank reconciliation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few months ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, Mr. Finch came before the board and mentioned how we were pretty far behind in bank recs. I believe he said we were last July at that point in time. And he mentioned how we would need some help in order to kind of get up to date, up to speed, in order for us to complete our audit for 2019. So I provided, well, he provided me and the clerk provided you guys with 3 different recommendations that he brought to the board of people who he thinks can fill a spot and kind of do these bank recs for us. So before I get into that, in regards to the bank recs right now, I understand that the finance department is working on them, some of the smaller ones, smaller accounts that is, but the accounts like the general fund or the water sewer fund, the bigger ones, that's the one that he would need the help with the most. So these 2 individuals and the actual company, Sigage, is who he is recommending that one of the 3 that the board votes on that we go into an agreement with so that we can start the process as soon as possible. So we need to kind of act swiftly as we need to get them in here as soon as possible. The audit, in theory, it should be done by October, November, but we're kind of behind already, so therefore we're looking like it's going to be late again. So I just asked that we kind of go over. I don't know if you guys want to go over and have a consensus of who we want to select. But I will say that I had a chance to look over all 3, and I'll just give you guys some price ranges. So for the first lady, Carolyn Jenkins, her hourly rate is $75 an hour. The second individual, Mr. Charles Howard, his hourly rate is $91 an hour. The second one, $91 an hour. The third one is Sigich, who is a company who offers accounting services and multiple other services for different companies. They have a range. So you can get somebody such as a entry-level accountant all the way up to a senior partner. So that entry-level person or the lowest person they offer is $136 an hour. And if you want me to give you the senior number, I can give you that as well, but that's $315 an hour. So so the 136 is the lowest. And I'm pretty sure that's like a entry-level accountant, just out of school, and not saying they don't know what they're doing, but again, they're entry-level accountant. So we do have these three different options here that we can choose from. Let's keep in mind that in the budget for fiscal year 20, we did budget $55,000 to get this process done. So the money is there. It's just a matter of how much we'll get done. So, and I asked Mr. Finch, I said, well, how long do you think it'll take? And it was kind of a setup question because he doesn't really know. So I don't want to give you, hey, this take 400 hours. I have no idea as well, but I do know that we did budget $55,000, and therefore he will be watching that number closely. So therefore, I think that we should select the individual, and then at the next board meeting, vote on an agreement to go into the agreement with one of the three individuals so that we can get them started as soon as possible. So I don't know if you guys had any chance to look at any of the individuals yet, but they all seem very well qualified, of course. But the cheaper it's always the best option. Well, I'm saying always, but financially it's the best option, but doesn't always mean you're going to get the best bang for your buck. But that's for us to decide as a group. So I kind of want to hear your thoughts on what do you think, but just know that we have to get this done as soon as possible.
Any questions?
Roderick, you said 55,000 is what we've been, this is under professional services, right? Is this the 55,000? Is that where we're getting the money from? Yeah. Budget and on. Okay. And so, in other words, we're going to have this person do bank reps, plus we need a finance director. Right?
Wait, say it again. Sorry.
We need this person to do bank recs, and we have no idea how long it's going to take him, take whoever
Correct.
to do it, plus we're going to have a finance director.
Correct. So this person will be catching us up with the bank recs.
Okay.
And we will also have our finance director, Mr. Finch, still in his position, and I'm sure he will help out as needed or if possible as well. I don't know how many hours it will take. So Mr. Finch said that they'd be willing to work at least 20 hours a week. So if I'm assuming 20 hours a week, I'm not, again, I don't know how long that'll take, but they'll be part-time from what I understand. I don't think they'll be working 40 hours a week. I don't think. Don't quote me on that.
I just did the math real quick. At $75 an hour, and you're allowed $55,000, that's 687 hours. Yes.
First of all, I would hope that it doesn't take 687 hours, but it's good to know it's there if we need it. So in the meantime, when we bring this person in as soon as possible, we're still aggressively looking for a finance director, because at some point I'm assuming that they may be working in tandem, because we need a finance director. Mr. Finch isn't going to be here forever. So are we still looking for a finance director?
I mean,
Could they possibly be working in tandem?
I'm sure that between Mr. Finch and Mr. Williams and the mayor, they are actively searching for one still. I think that's always a priority. So yes, they will work in tandem. And you're right, he won't be here forever. So I will hope that he can get in. The person can come in and kind of learn as much as they can from Mr. Finch before the new person starts. Because he would just have some tribal knowledge that the new person won't have, right? So.
And why the limit of 20 hours? Why couldn't they work more hours?
That question.
The sooner we get this done, the better. We've got crunch time.
I'm with you. If they can do 40 hours a week, great. But I think that's something that Mr. Finch and Mr. Williams can work out. Any other questions on the three? Because I think if not, we should just go ahead and, for the record, select which person we think so that we can vote on that person next week's in the board meeting.
Weren't there some applications submitted for part-time help for this? Yeah, I know there was some resumes turned in. They applied for the finance director job, and they were even offered to come and help us get our books right. They were sent to the HR lady, and then Finch had them too. Yeah.
Well, I'll say this, if you guys don't want to make a decision like on the spot, I would say if you can email your suggestion of one of your three to Mr. Finch, village administrator, and just let them know, hopefully by Friday, so that way that the clerk can get it on her agenda, I'm sorry, Thursday or Friday, so that way she can get it on the agenda for next Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, tomorrow. Okay.
So if we want another person to be considered, can we add that on? Did you think about that?
I mean, I'm sure that's fine. I mean, that's what the board wants. These are just the three that he gave me. If there's another person, I would, say send it out to everybody so that way they can review it as well, so they can have time to make the decision.
Okay.
And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
In the past, when we brought outside help in for something very similar to this, there was a resolution. Will we be creating a resolution or ordinance to bring this in?
Resolution.
So all we need to do is give you an idea who we want, and there will be a resolution prepared.
Well, yes, once you
Okay.
made that decision.
I just want to make sure you know that there should be a resolution.
Well, you have to, first of all, you have to make the decision, and then after that, the resolution. So, I mean, do you want this to be on that's what my question was gonna be, do you want the decision to be on next week's agenda? If so, then the resolution has to accompany that.
Right, so I was gonna, okay, so thanks for clearing that. So if we want to pick a person today, well, not today, tomorrow or Thursday, we have to have the resolution voted on next Tuesday.
Yes, so my question is, if they have.
No, Madam Clerk?
Well, it has to be, the resolution has to be voted on.
You have to vote on the resolution.
Yeah.
You don't have to necessarily vote on the person, but the resolution comes first.
But wouldn't the person be included?
So you just want a resolution to have a person to come in as being an accountant,
At a rate not to exceed a certain amount of money.
if that's what you want first? So that means you push it back 2 more weeks.
Right, because then we have to go, so when do we
You have
vote?
to do that first.
Right, so when do we vote on the actual
So
person?
then, if that's the case, then you have to have the resolution, penned. And then, I'm sure it will have to be reviewed. And then it has to be voted on. So if it's gonna be reviewed, then that's gonna take another 2 weeks.
Mr. Mayor, we already have a resolution on file. We've done this before. You really don't have to have anybody prepared. We could prepare it on our own. And if you want to call a meeting at 6:45 next Tuesday before we vote, we could look it over. We've had time to review
Okay,
it.
do you have my question is, you want to vote on the resolution and then the person do it at the same time?
I don't think the person is as important as that the resolution includes the scope of the responsibilities and
The resolution-
pay not to exceed.
All you want to do with the resolution is have the scope is the scope. I mean, you just want to have the amount of money.
Yes. And if you say not to exceed a certain amount of money, then you could put whoever you want in that
Okay,
position.
Did you solve that? Did you see?
We've done this before.
Did you see how much it was?
Yes, it was much more than this, but we just altered the price. I could get that resolution to you. I think you'll know who I'm talking about when we did this back in 2011.
Okay, so you want to, okay.
I'm just saying we don't have to hire an attorney to do this because we've done it before.
I didn't say that. I didn't mention the word.
Right. We've done this
I'm just
before.
saying, do you want to vote on the new resolution? You want to have that on the agenda for Tuesday to be voted on?
Yes.
Okay. My next question is, when do you want to have the deadline to have whoever it is that the board comes with? I mean, because we can just keep talking about this. So when do you want to set a deadline for them to have a consensus or whoever it is that they want to have?
I think Thursday or Friday is fine. I think Trustee Brewer said she has a fourth person that she wants to throw in the mix. So just to be fair, if she wants to add a fourth person and for us to review it, I would say Friday at the latest, because again, we've had this since Friday or Saturday, so.
So you want to have this person to be added to that and disseminated to the trustees between now and Friday? Hold on just a second, trustee. I'm just asking a question. Do you want the fourth person to be added and disseminated to the board and them to be able to make a decision by Friday so it can be on the agenda, or just make a decision?
Just make a decision.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, then that's not a problem then. But it doesn't have to really, you don't have to really, I'm just trying to make sure that it's, if you want, you're not ready for it to be on the agenda, so in 2 weeks is probably the time that a time frame to have a consensus for whoever it is. So then therefore, so we're saying 2 weeks from today will be the deadline to submit. Okay, so then it'll be a month from now.
What I'm saying is, if you make the resolution, you're not pinpointing to a person, because the resolution is vague. It's going to say that we're going to hire a temporary finance person at amount not to exceed. The person we put in does not have to come back before the board, because the resolution is going to allow for the scope of work and the amount of money.
So then but my question still says, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that you don't have to vote on who the person will be. But if you're going to submit someone else, who's going to make the determination that after the resolution is there that this person is hired?
So I would suggest that since Mr. French gave us these 3 recommendations, I'm sure he has, extensive financial experience, as we all know. So it should be up to him to decide whether he wants to include that person or not. Because I'm sure he saw many resumes or applications, and so he decided on these 3 for a reason. So therefore, I would say send it to him, and then let him decide.
Okay, is the board okay with that? That's what I want to find. So the board's okay once the resolution has been passed, then it will be okay for him to hire based on what the resolution states and within those parameters. Yeah. All right, the public comments. You don't need a microphone. All questions and comments will be directed to the mayor. Each speaker may comment on any matter pertaining to the village of Sauk Village. Each speaker is allowed 1 opportunity to speak up to 3 minutes and may not engage debate or counter discussion. I will answer all questions at the end of public comments. Please state your name when you come up to the front.
My name is Zenona Ayers. I'm hoping you can all hear me. I live in Carlisle Estates, and I solely resent these people coming into my backyard and putting this god-awful truck stop right next to us. Where they're bunting this facility is right next to a park, children's park, where they go and play. Is that going to keep them out of there now? We have been harmed so much by all this. I have roadway that's about maybe a quarter mile away from me. I can hear them. They can tell me the trees are going to cover it. The fence is going to stop it. They're lying. That's not going to happen. I can still hear roadway. Now you're talking 100 trucks? They're going to come and go in and out, leaking all over the place? And all of people here, are you guys okay with that? This is ridiculous. You're harming us. We will not sell our homes ever. Who's going to want to live there? It's not right. My husband, 40 years of being a diesel mechanic, he can tell you horror stories. He worked for a company who had 10 truck, what are they called? Bays. And they were nowhere near a residential. And there were strict guidelines in Carroll Stream. They wouldn't allow this stuff that we are here are thinking of doing. I have a son-in-law who's been working for about 15, 20 years now as a truck driver. He can tell you horror stories, like he's told me. They dump the stuff. And that's okay for our water again? We in Carlisle have to suffer again? I resent that.
1 minute.
And then they promise us this wonderful strip mall. Oh, let's just glorify it. It's going to be wonderful. We have a lot of places that are shut down here right now in the village. Who's going to want to go there? Surely not I. And once again, I will talk to every resident in Carlisle Estates, and we will bond together and we will say no. We don't want that in our backyard. We don't need to have it in our backyard. And I would appreciate if each and every one of you think of how you would live with that next to you. Thank you.
Frank Williams here. I would like to ask everybody, Sunday at 1 o'clock, if you would come to my church. We're having a spaghetti dinner, and the spaghetti dinner is for sending kids on a trip so they will enjoy some things with them. So if you have nothing to do, please come to Sauk Village Church. It's the last church. If you leave in the village, it's the last church on your left going down to Stager Road. And if you're coming in from Stager Road, it's the first one on the right. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to say one thing about it. I asked you to do something about those toilets and things, and you did that, some of it anyway. So now I'm asking you to look at the water fountain up there and see if we can, if it can't be clean, I would suggest we get a new one out there, because when our company comes here, I knew the water's bad, but when the company come here, we would look like for them to have something decent to drink out of. And the village is a very good village. But I think when we get ready to put something together like we have here tonight, I think that the people in the village should look at it and know what they're getting ready to be in for. I mean, I don't have nothing against progress, don't get me wrong. But my thing is that if we're bringing something into the village, I think we should look at it from our standpoint. What is it to us, and what is it going to do for us? I mention these things because a lot of times when business come into the village or something like that that we don't know about, and we get a little bit out of shape and wonder why wouldn't we ask. But that's the whole idea, is why you guys are sitting there. Is because when you get ready to do something like that, at least let us know and let us be informed of what you're doing. Thank you.
Excuse me, Bernadine Hopkins. I would apologize for my outburst, but I'm in agreement with Mr. Williams. And quite frankly, it seems as though our feelings or whatever it's just not considered. You even have the people with their backs to us. They're going to bring this whatever here, and it is going to affect us. I'm not saying it's not going to affect you, but you're few, but you're mighty. But the thing is I do think at some point what we have to say should be heard, and it should be heard by presenters, not just you. I don't know if you guys do this in executive session or whatever. I really don't care. But the point is, I'd like my concerns addressed by the individuals that you have here, offering or presenting various things that are going to affect my life, our lives. So, I don't know if I got time for the rest of this, but I don't know what type of businesses we're trying to attract here, but and I also don't know if we're becoming a trucking community or what. But if this is the if this is the case, then the continued, or let's say, I don't know how to say this. I'm concerned about the water. I really am, because we're still using well water. All right, things soak into the ground. People say they're going to do this, they're going to do that, yeah. But the bottom line is, we're still dealing with water that if you put it in a teapot, it'll shoot out crystals. Something's wrong with that. And that's what it's like now. So let's add 100 or 100 to 140 trucks in that mix. I was thinking maybe we could consider like a farmer's market, ice cream parlors, things like that, that maybe the members in the community could get together and do. I understand that we need commerce, but I don't think we need our major commerce to be as transient populace, like let's say hundreds of truckers. That's not good for me, that's not good for my children, that's not good for my grandchildren, so on and so forth. And I'm hoping you all are really not just looking at dollar signs and just looking at what you could possibly be. I like my baby with 2 eyes, not 3, okay? So that's all, thank you.
Pat Couch. Being a longtime trucking industry person with 25 years at a major trucking firm, those trucks run 24/7 most of the time in the winter. When it's bad weather and those trucks are out there, they have to have their engines running, whether it's with some kind of an electrical, I don't know what they are planning on doing, but you consider in the winter, those trucks have to be running so that they don't freeze up. That's a major concern. One question that I would just like to have someone clarify that I have read on the Sauk Village, Illinois page. There's been an insinuation that Mr. Williams is a relative of our trustee and her husband. And I would like that clarified, that are you or are you not related to the Williams family here? Thank you.
No, obviously, we have a common name, unfortunately, for reasons how I got here. But no, I'm not related to her.
Hopefully it'll get on that page.
And that Facebook stuff is just not. Communication tool.
Vicki Jankovic. I just got a quick question. I lived in Sauk Village for 30-something years, and it really hurts me to see Carroll Avenue tagged so much with graffiti. That we have young children down riding their bikes, and they have to see such terrible, terrible graffiti. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, appreciate the comments of those that came up and expressed their opinions about the truck stop. And I'm sorry, not truck stop, but the truck repair shop. And I guess, trustees, I'll put it this way, trustees heard your comments, and as the guy came today, he came to get his feel whether he should go to the next level. So I'm sure we can let him know how the people that came out today felt, and it's up to him to decide on whether he wants to go to the next level or not, because it will be upon him to do that. And then the next level would be coming to the zoning board, and then at that same time, the residents can still speak at that time too. The water fountains in the village are plastic. Not the bowls, but the water fountain devices themselves are plastic. So they're being taken apart to clean. We just cannot put it. I was I thought maybe we could put a cleaner on there, but I was told that if we do that, it'll leave a mark and it'll gouge into it because they're made out of plastic. So the one that's here has been taken off to clean, and I'm sure Public Works is the one that's doing it. So they're get to the rest of them, and I appreciate the person that saw that. You know, I've seen it, and I've told them, but you haven't seen the one that's back here that's been taken apart. So they're taking apart one by one, I guess, so they don't make sure that at least they have one working next to the other one. But those are being cleaned, and they're being cleaned by Public Works. They have a way of cleaning that. As far as presentations, this is a committee meeting, and usually we have presenters that are faced here, and that's why we use the microphones so you can hear what they're saying. I'm sorry that you feel they're putting their back to you, but they're basically presenting to the board, and they're using the microphone so you can hear what they're saying. But they come up on committee night to make their presentation to the board about what it is they're either trying to sell, trying to bring to the village, or trying to provide for the village. So that's the way that's the reason why their back is to you, because they're presenting to the board at that time. Businesses, I'm hoping, we're always trying to attract businesses. And that being said, you're gonna have pushback for whatever you bring in, just hopefully that we can bring something that's conducive. I hate when people say we're just a trucking village. We're not. We're anyone that you know, we need other avenues to come in. Just so happen this particular one wants to come in and do business. It's up to the board to decide whether or not they want to do business with that particular business that comes in. But we're trying to make sure that we have a gamut of different businesses here. Hopefully we can attract other types of businesses, and that's what we'll be looking for. And I know that the water concerns, that's been going back since before I moved here. They've had water concerns. As far as the farmers market, that'd be nice. We have a lot of fields out here. Someone's willing to get one started, I'm sure we can find a way to cut a piece of land out somewhere and have it started. But that takes people to actually work on the farmers market. It just doesn't happen overnight, and it takes people to get involved in it. Graffiti. I don't know how to answer that one, because I mean, people are going to do that. If you can catch a person in the act of doing it, or you can, you know, let us know or whatever, fine. Vice versa. If we see that happen, we will we will tell them, you know, discontinue that, but we're going to have to, and this is something I brought up to the Public Works, we'll have to paint over those homes that have done that, and paint over those particular boards that it happened to. Hopefully they don't come back and do it again, but you give them a clean slate to do it. But how do you stop that? I'll be willing to find out. If you can let me know at the end of the meeting how we can go about stopping someone from putting graffiti on anything, I'm open to suggestions. I really am. Because the only thing I can think of is I catch them in the act, but you know, who can I blame if I don't see that person? And graffiti has been going on since I was a kid, and I'm sure since you guys have been children, they've always wrote things on trains, side of homes, and everything. How do you stop it? I don't know, but I'll be willing to listen to any suggestions that they may have. That being said, I'll ask for comments. I'll start with Trustee Brewer. She has a mic right there. Oh, she don't have a mic over here.
My comment relates to the truck repair place. As you know, I'm a big advocate of clean water. It's my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of residents here, that adding fuel to a fire does not constitute good living conditions here in the village. The Carlisle Estates is a small community, it's enclosed, And just to put another truck repair place near roadway is only gonna harm us, okay? We have dealt with this for the last 7 years. They have air stripping there to clean the water. Make sure you know that the water's supposed to be clean, okay? But I'm saying, why put something like that in your own backyard? There's a lot of places here in Sauk Village that there's a lot of places here in Sauk Village that could have a truck repair place. They said 50 jobs here that we will benefit from, but you're not thinking about the hundreds of homes that's over in the Carlisle Estates. So we got to be mindful of what we're doing here. We haven't got this issue resolved, okay? So we need to look into safeguards if this ever happens. I'm for one or against it. That's the end of my report. Comment. Sorry. Comment.
Trustee Jazinski.
No comment.
Trustee Bell.
We gotta look where we're located. We need to look where we're located. You got an expressway, you got a way station, Route 30. It's all major highways. We are basically a trucking community. We used to be called Cardboard City back in the day. We were Ford and steel mill workers in the 60s and the 70s. Times changed. All the truck places around us, Gas and Wash, Marco Transport, all the guys. It's all the same. If that spot's not feasible, why can't we find them a new spot? I know it's all about money, I'm sure. The land's they're probably get a good price on the land. But we can't harm the neighborhood no more. I understand. If we want the business, we gotta help them. To a point.
Trustee Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only comment I have is we still need to keep in mind that we have to pass the budget. I saw a lot of back and forth via email about certain things that we want in and out, and I just hope that before we do vote on it at whatever board meeting in the near future, that we talk about it one more time, whether that's in executive session or out in the public. Because I feel that there are still some things in there that we all have to compromise and agree on. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Todd.
No comment.
Trustee Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, could we add to the budget some more mics, please? I don't think they're that expensive.
Would you say that?
Can we add mics to the budget?
Oh.
I mean, in one of those line items somewhere, about 4 or 5, maybe. Okay. Well, thank you. For the public, Sauk Village Public Events Committee, we had some really great events on this past Saturday. Actually, there was 4 events in Sauk Village. There was, first of all, the recycling event, partnering with Commissioner Donna Miller and Sheriff Tom Dart's office. That was fairly successful. We're going to be doing it again next year. And at the same time, Radonna Brown and Gooch had their book bag giveaway. Excellent, fantastic job. I think they should be applauded for that because they do this of their own. So I am very thankful for what you bring to the community. And then we also had the community prayer at Holy Praise Tabernacle at the same time. And then we ended up with the robotics workshop from 1 to 4, and the kids just had an awesome time. They actually took a box of Legos and all different tables, and they each created a component to make a working robot. And it was phenomenal to see these kids working together and putting their pieces together into an actual working robot. The next robotics event will be explaining to them the technological part of that. The first time was in building it, now we're going to learn why it works the way it does. So we're looking forward to the next workshop on that. And on August 31st, there's a blood drive at the Crossroads Church, right down the street where the spaghetti dinner is. And it's from 10 to 2. On August 31st, we need 5 more people to donate blood. And also on August 31st, the library is having their first annual end of summer fundraiser. And if you want any more information about that, you can go to the library and find out. And I just wanted to say that we have a new Sauk Village Public Events Facebook page. And we would like for everybody to like that page, because what we're going to do is we're going to try to encourage more people to attend the events as we continue to do more events. We've got September events that are in the works and October events. There's a calendar on the back table that actually has some of the events listed, and we'll be filling that out and putting that on our page. We have a corn and dog roast on September 7th from 11 to 5. We have the parade, which is Labor Day, and we still need people to sign up to be in the parade. You don't have to be a company, you can be an individual, you can be a church, you can be any type of organization. Each of the trustees have one. I need this back as soon as possible, whether or not you're going to be participating in the parade, because Ed Myers is our parade chairman, and you know he needs to get all this back so we have an official lineup. So I want to thank everybody who came out this weekend and participated in these events, but the parade is our next main event, and we need to get people to register as soon as possible. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. No. Tomorrow, there will be, I will have a, the monthly town hall meeting will be here at 7 o'clock. Please come out, ask your questions, hear some of the things that are going on, hear about things that we're trying to do as a village, and also express your opinions and give me your concerns. Also, I just wanted to say the corn and dog roast, which is going to be, it should be disseminated, should be flyers out, will be on August 7th. And there'll be more information coming to, I'm sorry, September 7th. We're going to be, it'll be right behind here at Village Hall in the park, and please come out. It'll be our annual corn and dog roast. Come out and have fun. That being said, I'll accept the motion to adjourn. It was moved by Trustee Bell, second by Trustee Brewer. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you.